welcome. Today we're going to talk to you about the basics of filing your taxes. It is tax season. This is the time of year that all of us who earn any kind of income need to report our income taxes to the federal government. Being in the state of Texas, you're not going to have to worry about filing your state taxes like most other folks do, but you do have to handle your federal taxes. So we're going to go over the basics, what these different forms are that you need to fill out, that you need to have. This is obviously going to come up more and more for you in the future as you begin to earn an income. So first off, let's talk about tax withholding. There are a couple of different kinds of taxes that get withheld from your paycheck throughout the year. They withhold payroll taxes and income taxes from your pay. Those are two different things. I'm going to lay out the difference between the two. Now, on your behalf, employers throughout the year are going to be sending the amounts that have been withheld off to the federal government. So throughout the year, you are kind of paying on your taxes. Then in order to determine how much gets taken from your paycheck, you will need to complete the Form W-4. When you are hired, you might need to revisit this from year to year if you stay with your employer for a while. Now, many of you, if you've had a job before, have had to fill out a Form W-4, but we will walk through that today and take a look at it. And again, they're going to use the information you put on this W-4 to determine exactly how much income to withhold from your pay. Okay, let's talk about the two types of taxes that are withheld from your paycheck. One is called your payroll tax. The other is your income tax. Payroll tax has two parts. It has Social Security and Medicare tax. Social Security, we also call it FICA. You might have seen that on a pay stub, FICA. This is a tax that covers retirement benefits for the elderly. Also, this includes benefits for some disabled folks and their dependents. So Social Security, mostly for the elderly, also for people who live on permanent disability. Medicare tax is used to provide medical benefits for certain individuals. So this is generally going to be folks over 65. So Social Security and Medicare tax, those are going to happen. Those are just required. There's a set percentage on those. That is called payroll tax. Your income tax, this is different. Your income tax goes to finance all the other things: national defense, social programs, law enforcement, and interest on the national debt. So income tax, that's going to be determined by the information you provide on your W-4 form. So how much are employers going to deduct from your paycheck? It's going to depend on the information on your W-4. So here is what you're going to think about here. So this is called the actual name of this form is your withholding allowance certificate. It determines how many deductions you qualify for. So it will depend on your marital status. How many kids do you have? There are these different, they give you a little worksheet, and then there are these different considerations for how many things you can claim. Now, if it's just you, a single person, you're only going to claim one exemption. Now, as you have kids, if you have a spouse that you're supporting, things like that, then you can begin to withhold more, or I should say withhold less from your taxes. You can begin to add more exemptions. You can say, yes, I also have this dependent child that relies on me, things like that. And they'll take out less and less taxes each week so that you have more to live on. But you have to be careful. You do not want to claim too many exemptions, because then they're not going to be taking out enough throughout the year. And two things will happen. One, you might owe taxes at the end of the year. And two, you could pay fees or penalties associated with that. So right now, your situation is probably pretty simple. But something to think about in the future, like say down the road, you get married and you have a couple kids and you and your spouse both work. You need to decide who is going to claim the kids when you're filling out the W-4, right? You don't want both of you to be taking all these exemptions, and then at the end of the year, you haven't paid enough taxes. All right, so here is what your W-4 looks like. Again, some of you folks might have already filled this out, and this is something that you fill out when you begin your job. But again, as your situation changes, if you get married, if you have kids, you might need to take a look at that W-4 again and adjust your withholdings. All right, The next thing we are going to have you do is complete a simulation. You are going to click on over to the IRS website. They're going to have you fill out a W-4, and then you're going to return to the Nearpod.